mystery or conspiracy podcast. I usually fall asleep within 2 minutes. All I really need is something to disrupt the dialogue in my head, and then I drift off. Story 24. Counting down from 20, you can only proceed to the next number if your mind is absolutely clear. If your mind starts to wander, repeat the current number in your head a few times until you find a moment of mental peace, then move on to the next number. I generally do not remember getting lower than 10 or 11, so this technique works well for me. Story 25. I sleep with SoundCloud headphones in and fall asleep listening to a boring podcast. I wake up at the same time 6 days a week, allowing myself an extra hour 1 day a week. These two things have made a significant difference for me. Story 26. When I had bad anxiety, I would go through the alphabet and think of a guy I had a crush on for each letter. Story 27. I heard that counting sheep is not actual counting. It is thinking of mundane information to purposely bore yourself. I think of names that start with the letter J, types of basil, and other information that I know but find boring. Story 28. I take at least 2 hours to fall asleep. Even drowsy medications won't help. The only time I can fall asleep quickly is in a new environment. When I went to college, I fell asleep swiftly in my new room. When I returned home, I experienced the same thing for the first time, not having sleeping problems at home. However, whenever I visit someone else's house, like my grandparents or friends' houses, or stay in a hotel for vacation, I struggle again. I don't understand why this happens. I thought comfort would help me sleep. Story 29. I listen to audiobooks. I used to lie awake for hours, often until 3 or 4 a.m. with my mind racing. Now, I set a sleep timer so the book turns off in 30 minutes, and 90% of the time I'm asleep before it shuts off. Sometimes I reset it if I'm not asleep yet. I also drink a serving of magnesium powder dissolved in water about an hour before bed, which helps to calm and relax me. It's called Natural Vitality Calm Magnesium Powder in lemon raspberry flavor. The audiobooks work with or without the magnesium powder. I don't take it specifically for sleep, but it does help. Story 30. How it's made on Max. Bed jet set to 75 degrees. If that doesn't work, which it almost always does, I take one melatonin gummy, and it's like a mini coma for me. Story 31. Try everything but sleep. The more you try to sleep, the less likely you are to succeed. I would go on night walks, read a book, shower, and more to reset my mind and body. Story 32. Only use your bed for sleeping. Engaging in sex is acceptable as well. Avoid using your phone, reading, or any other activities. Train your brain so that as soon as you sit on the bed, you start to feel sleepy. Story 33. 1. I use the Serenity Prayer to cue myself that it is time to sleep. This can be any phrase to tell your mind you are done thinking for the day. I wear earplugs so I don't hear my husband snoring. When the numbing or tingling sensation indicating that my body is settling into sleep occurs, I focus on it. If that doesn't work, I create a themed gratitude list working my way through the alphabet on any topic. I am grateful for ants. I am grateful for bees. I am grateful for crickets. When I reach the challenging letters like V, Q, X, or Z, I pause and try to think for several minutes but tend to lose interest and fall asleep. If it frustrates me, I move on to another theme such as body parts, natural phenomena, colors, or anything else. My goal is to avoid thinking about anything emotional or what I did that day or what I will do tomorrow. Usually, I am asleep by the time I reach number 3. Story 34. Count from 1 to however high you can in your head. Do it quickly. You will reach at least 200, but your brain may eventually find it tedious. Story 35. No caffeine after noon. Also, turn off the lights an hour before going to bed. Story 36. Sex, or masturbation if you're alone, releases dopamine and other substances that promote sleep, similar to eating turkey. Story 37. Picture yourself in the most relaxing environment you can imagine. For me, I envision a cabin in the woods with snow falling all around, while I am tucked inside a warm, cozy sleeping bag. Story 38. Graveyard worker. I also have sleep apnea, so my approach is to use black tape over my full face mask and wear noise-canceling headphones that play rain sounds. This way, I can just listen to the rain while being blacked out. I also have blackout drapes in my room. Story 39. Making themed lists, such as listing 5 words for each letter that are only 3 letters long, or categories like colors and foods. Story 40. I learned this technique in a self-help meditation course I took over 50 years ago, and I still use it when I can't fall asleep. It works similarly to counting sheep. Picture a large blackboard. Draw a large circle and inside, draw an X, making sure it touches the circle at its tips. Next, outside of the circle to the right, write the word deeper. Go back to the circle and erase the X without erasing any part of the circle. Write the number 100 inside the circle. Go to the word deeper and write it again over the previous one. Return to the circle, erase the 100, and replace it with 99. Go back to deeper and overwrite it again. Continue this process, counting down and overwriting. If you find your mind wandering, try to get back to the process. Eventually, your mind gets so bored that it wanders into sleep. I've used this method dozens, if not hundreds of times, and I never get beyond 80. Story 41. If I need to sleep right away, I use binaural or white noise. If I need to reset my sleep pattern because I am becoming a night owl again, I would not sleep for 1 to 2 nights. It works every time. Story 42. I call it my nonsense thought trick. I read it somewhere. Basically, you close your eyes and think of something. Visualize that thing in your mind for a few seconds. Then think of another thing that is unrelated to the previous one. Could go like this: ball, spoon, airplane, water, sun, dog, and so on. This tricks your brain into thinking it is dreaming, which helps you fall asleep. It works every time for me. Story 43. Melatonin, exercise, and fresh air. Lie down with a dull, monotonous podcast or video playing softly in the background. Story 44. If you have trouble shutting your brain off, try this. Lie down and get comfortable. Then focus on your toes. Try to relax each one. If it won't relax, tighten it and then let it go. Do this with each toe, then with your foot muscles, and then your calves. By the time you get to your shoulders, you will likely have already fallen asleep. Story 45. Outside of a few things I've tried before sleeping, such as mindful eating, proper hydration, low device usage, and a slightly colder temperature, the only proven method that has been worthwhile is the military method. It requires practice, but a relaxed body and a calm mind are the keys to great sleep. While relaxing the body is easy, calming the mind is more challenging. Story 46. I can count backwards from 100. I rarely reach 0, but if I do, I count from 1 to 100. Another effective method for me recently has been to avoid putting pressure on myself to sleep. I find that simply lying quietly and reflecting on my